Hi, this is Jason here at RoofSnap,
And Katrina.
and we are on round 3 of managing your material, frequently asked questions, sort of review and discussion.
Uh-huh.
Katrina, what are we going to take a look at next?
Next, we're going to take a look at basically the services tab in materials.
Yep, that is correct. What we're going to do is direct you, if you're following along, to log in on roofsnap.com on a computer or a laptop. This is not ideal to do on an iPad because you really need a keyboard and a mouse
Yeah.
to make it more time friendly for setting up this stuff. Once you're logged into roofsnap.com with your admin email and password, you're going to go to the Materials tab across the top menu bar here. Double check and make sure that you are in the correct office that you want to be managing. And then select the detailed view in the far right so that you can see your coverage, labor, material, factor, total, and of course your item description. We talked about in the last video setting up your pricing and your coverage for your items. We've talked about adding new items and adding custom items. But when we're specifically talking about shingles, I wanna address the labor.
Okay.
So when you have an item like this GAF Royal Sovereign 25 year, first of all, you have your install labor for the item itself. And that will not incorporate your tear off, your steep charges, your second story charges, your second layer tear offs. That's just the install price. So if you're paying the crew a flat rate to do all of those things, when you set it up in RoofSnap, you will have to redefine what portion of that labor is just for the install, tear off, second layer, and on and on.
Gotcha.
To manage those, all of the install prices are going to be associated with each item right within the line item itself. But when we hop over to services, this is an area that's specifically reserved for charges that do not typically have any material cost associated with them whatsoever. So let's start with the first category here on the left, steep roof charges. These items themselves, as you'll notice when I search here in the database, 6/12, this is a system item. It's linked directly to the pitch values that you place on the roof when you're drawing in RoofSnap. So they'll automatically populate into your specifications for your estimate when that pitch value exists on the roof. Now, if you try to create a custom steep charge, as some customers have tried before, if you try to make one called 712 to 912, and then you add that, it will not read correctly. It will not work. So we advise that you do not create any custom steep charges, but use the system charges that are already in here. If you do not charge anything extra for 6, just go ahead and delete it. Same thing with 7. Maybe you start at 8 or 9. Delete out the ones that aren't useful for you. And then go in and add that additional labor cost that you'll pay the crew in order to install on that steepness. So for example, if you've got a section that's 912, how much extra will you pay the crew for that area that's 912? Is it another $10 per square, another $15 per square? And then if it's the same for 8 and 9, you would give them both, 10 or 15 or whatever the price is. And then as it gets steeper, typically for most of our customers, the price goes up. So you pay a little bit more when you get up to 10, 12. And then 13, 12, maybe you go up another $5. And then at 16, 12, and then on and on. So we kind of have fake pricing in here, sample pricing in here that you can model your office after, but ultimately you're going to want to fine tune the labor for your steep charges. Second story roof charges are the same thing. If you label second story as a facet label within RoofSnap, it's automatically going to add whatever your second story roof charge is. So if it needs to be an extra $10 per square or 15, you're going to want to set that in the steep roof charge here.
Gotcha.
Remove and dispose, we have this broken out in a unique way as well based on what you're tearing off. So if you're tearing off architectural, that'll be an item that you'll select when you build the estimate, and you can determine what your labor just for tearing off architectural shingles are. If it's a heavier duty architectural, maybe you pay 25. And then if it's a 3-tab, 20. And then if it's slate, maybe you pay, like we have in here, 50 or even more, depending on your market and depending on your labor force. So you can determine how much labor you pay based on what is being torn off. Now, in here, you can also define a material cost if you choose to, because there are disposal fees associated with tear off. So if you know how much your disposal cost is per square of material for all of these different products that are being torn off, you could account for them here under material. Or if the crew has to pay for their own disposal, you may just add that disposal cost then into their labor on the left side. That being said, there are also single items for things like dumpsters and other ways of accounting for your disposal costs. Then second layer, this is also a facet label that exists. So when you're setting the pitch on the roof, when you've sketched it, you'll see that there are many different facet labels. Second layer is one that you can add as well. And so if you add a second layer, then it will give you the quantity that you'll need for your removing, let's say you've got architectural shingles on top with a layer of 3-tab underneath. So your initial remove and disposal would be architectural, and then your second layer would be 3-tab. And so again, set your labor in accordance with how much you're going to pay the crew per square for tearing off the second layer of what this product may be.
Gotcha.
And just as before, you can always add custom line items for other type of remove and disposal scenarios that may not be accounted for here.
Wonderful.
That's it for this one. We'll see you again in part 4.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.